Award-winning columnist on senior living and author of the best-selling book Hot Chocolate for Seniors, winner of national and international gold seals. Here to talk about senior living at its best is Jan Fowler.
Welcome to Senior Living at its Best, and thanks for joining us today. I'm Jan Fowler, and as always, I'm wearing my gold high-heeled shoes, ready to greet my guests in style. After all, Celebrate is my theme song, and I love talking with interesting people who are whizzing around celebrating their lives in some special way, whether they're chasing dreams, performing on stage, or making it a point to discover some magical moments in everyday life. My show is important because I bring on guests who are making efforts to promote a better society, each in his own way, because we all have different gifts and talents. My special guest today is Cathy Bates, founder of Practical Solutions, an organization which goes on site to help people declutter their homes, offices, or businesses. I can assure you that this topic is of equal interest to men as well as women, especially now that we're moving towards a paperless society with an emphasis on conserving our resources. So cleaning out the clutter is becoming a hot topic in today's world. Cathy Bates, welcome to the show. Thanks so much for joining us today.
Thank you for inviting me. It's great to be here with you, and I look forward to our time together.
Oh, Cathy, I heard you speak recently, and you are the queen of clean. You presented a program to a men's group where I was the only woman, by the way, so that's a switch. So obviously, this topic is of interest to men as well as women, right?
Yes, I would say that most of the time my audience is women. Every once in a while, one will bring along their husband, and they usually announce, I brought him here for you to fix him. But this group happened to be all men, and that was a little bit unusual.
Well, you're just like an answer to everyone's prayer, aren't you? Because you provide the labor. You and your team obviously aren't afraid to get your hands dirty.
No, at the end of the day, our uniforms are pretty dirty, and most clients say they've never seen anyone work so hard. But not only do we work hard, we're also sensitive to the needs of our clients because we understand this is a difficult process for them downsizing.
Oh, yes. Well, you not only help people who are moving, many of whom are downsizing and moving into a retirement community, but you also are willing to oversee the movers, I understand, as well as the unpacking at the new location, including making the beds and hanging the pictures. Wow.
Yes, and we don't unpack like movers unpack. We take pictures of where everything is in the old house, pack it according to where it's going to go, and make sure everything is unpacked just the way the client wants. We want them to be able to find the things they're looking for in the new house easily. We also take a lot of attention to the details. If their alarm clock's on the wrong side of the bed, they're going to notice it. They probably will never notice all the little things we did to make it easy on them. But that helps them transition and make it feel like home.
Oh, you provide a lot of love and comfort, don't you? So many of us have a hard time of letting go of things we love. And admittedly, I'm one of them. Please assure me that I'm not alone.
No, you're not alone. And we as organizers, when we get together, sometimes talk about how great our clients do at getting rid of their stuff and how much harder it would be if it was our own stuff. I think it helps us understand their position and have a lot more patience with them because we know how difficult it is.
You own and operate a business called Practical Solutions. I just love the name of it, by the way. You know, I could probably use practical solutions a lot in other areas of my life as well. So anyway, let's begin talking about the big picture. Give us the 5 major categories in which you say you specialize. I mean, just give us an overview for now. We can talk more about these later.
Okay. We do home organizing, and what that means is we just go into people's homes, and they may just have a little bit of clutter behind closed doors, or they may have extreme clutter. And we help walk them through the process of letting go of the things they no longer need and organizing the rest. We also organize businesses. We do senior downsizing, which is a lot like organizing. We're helping them think towards getting rid of the things they no longer need. They may be staying in their home, or they may be moving to a smaller space. And then we do relocations, mainly for seniors, but also for other people. Like you said, we do every aspect of the move, overseeing the movers, even making the beds. But we also are the Inland Empire specialist in hoarding. I've been an organizer for 11 years and have a lot of experience back before the TV shows and back before even psychologists knew anything about hoarding. We were helping hoarders clear out their clutter and change their lives.
My goodness, that's always fascinated me. Simplify seems to be your overall theme. So how do you help us simplify?
Simplifying is something I talk about a lot. Simplifying leaves more time for doing what's important to you, whether that be more time with family, friends, work, hobbies. It's different for everyone. I do talks on simplifying your home, simplifying your busy family's life, simplifying your paper, your time, your holidays, and your move. Our newsletter is even called Simplify.
For anyone just tuning in, we're talking with Cathy Bates of Practical Solution. She's the declutter expert we all want to take home with us to help us deal with reorganizing our home, office, or business, especially if we're relocating or downsizing. Cathy, you compare clutter to weeds. How are they alike?
Yes, I recently talked to the Breakfast Club of Redlands, and to go along with their gardening theme, we named the talk Weed Out Clutter. And clutter is a lot like weeds. Both hide the beautiful things we have, both take a lot of work to get rid of, and once we clear them, we can't let our guard down. We need to stay on top of them in order to maintain the hard work we've done.
That's the challenge. That's
Yeah.
right. That's true. Clearing out the clutter requires mental, physical, and emotional adjustments. Am I the only one who hates to part with things that are absolutely useless but which have sentimental value?
No, I think that's a struggle for everyone. Usually people are holding on to the item because they don't want to lose the memory. Some people can tell us a story and then they realize they have the memory and don't need the item and they're able to let it go.
It's that simple.
Well, not always that simple. Others sometimes want us to take pictures. They realize they can't take all their things with them, but if they can create a little album of all their things, they're okay with letting it go. A lot of people, though, have a really hard time with this, and they feel like by letting go of that item, they're going to dishonor the memory of the person who gave it to them or the person who owned it. And it's important for us to help them realize that that item is not the person. And just because you're getting rid of that item, you're not dishonoring the person. And you still have the memory of that person there.
So you have to be a therapist, you have to be a counselor, you have to be a psychologist when you're dealing with various personalities.
Yes.
Before we go any further, please give us your website.
It's psorganizing.com.
P as in Paul, S as in simplify, organizing.com. I know lots of listeners may want to give you a call for a consultation. You know, Cathy, my daughter's father-in-law, who lives in another state, by the way, recently used a similar service who came in before he moved into a retirement home. And they even helped him get things organized for an estate sale, which turned out to be a huge success. They had organized it very, very efficiently. Do you do anything like that too?
That sounds very similar to what we do.
Oh.
We don't do the actual sale, but we help them sort it all out so that we can make sure they take the things that are important to them or pass them on to their children. And then we have the estate sale come in and they can organize it all, price the items, and get it sold. And they get quite a bit for their money. If clients can't do an estate sale, maybe they don't have enough, we also have companies we recommend that do auctions, consignment, and buyouts.
Mm-hmm. So how do you help people weed out the clutter?
Well, the first step in helping someone weed out the clutter is to listen to them. We need to find out their goals. What is their reason for weeding out the clutter? Because this is going to be something we come back to often to help remind them of their goals and when it gets a little bit rough. The second step is to sort out what they want to keep and what they want to let go of. And then, of course, helping them know what to do with all the stuff they're letting go of. And we're obviously experts there. Once we know what the client is keeping, we know how to organize it. During the downsizing process, we have gotten to know them, their habits, how they work. Are they a visual person? Do they like things behind closed doors? And then we can set up a personalized organizing system for them. And then lastly, we teach them how to use the systems. It's very important. You can have the best organizing systems in the world, but if you don't use them and maintain the order, it's going to be like those weeds. It's going to come creeping back in.
So you have to stay on top of them, just like you have to stay on top of the weeds.
Yes, and even some clients will set up a regular appointment where we come once a month or so to help get it under control before it gets out of control again.
Oh, that's wonderful. My goodness. You know, my 3 children, one's a doctor, one's a middle school principal, and the third is an entrepreneur who's always on a plane headed to Asia or Dubai, tell me that their offices are largely paperless, that their phones serve as their Rolodexes and take the place of file cabinets. Even my doctor daughter's patients' x-rays and lab reports are at her fingertips. They're all stored on her smartphone. Society is really shifting towards paperless, right?
They are, and technology is making it a lot easier for us to do that. With cloud-based technology, people can have access to anything they want from any computer, any smartphone, any tablet. Now, every person is different. I still like going to my files and pulling out a piece of paper rather than trying to log into a website, find out where that paper is, and to me, that's a little more difficult.
Oh, you made me feel so much better because I love to do the same thing.
Yeah, so it just all depends on your personal preference. People that really, really struggle with managing their paper sometimes do better with paperless.
Mm-hmm. You know, I'm always so impressed with this radio station. I have never seen my producer surrounded with clutter. Why do some of us struggle with clutter and others don't?
Well, they say some of us have the organizing gene and some don't. But I found really those organized are a lot less obsessive about it. They have a more balanced approach. They just get the job done and don't worry about it being perfect. And I found that perfectionism is one of the biggest hang-ups in organizing. So many of my hoarders are perfectionists. And you may say that doesn't make any sense, but a hoarder who can't keep up the standards has kind of an all-or-nothing mentality, and they just give up. Mm-hmm. And then the clutter builds up around them, and they have a great plan for one day organizing it all, but they'll never have the time because it just gets overwhelming.
And yes, you're overwhelmed, and it just seems like something you dread facing, and so it's easy to put it off. Well, you are really professional organizers, and I can well imagine how you help change people's lives. So before I forget, on your website is P as in Paul, S as in simplify, organizing.com. We must take a quick break, after which we're going to ask Cathy to tell us about hoarders. Most of us know at least one or two. What causes people to hoard, and can anything be done to help someone who is chronically disorganized? So please stay tuned. We'll be right back to get answers from Cathy Bates of Practical Solutions.
What will you build? A wall? A roof? A room? Or will you build stronger families, healthier children, more successful students? Each year, thousands of volunteers, donors, and partner families build houses and so much more with Habitat for Humanity. They build better lives and hope for the future. So, what will you build? A porch? A kitchen? A bedroom? Or will you build a stable home, a renewed neighborhood, a better world? What will you build? Each day in nearly 90 countries, Habitat volunteers, donors, and families are building houses, hope, and brighter futures. So, what will you build? Find out at habitat.org and help build.
The Astor Broadcast Group's been Southern California's business and financial news authority since 1989 and now serves 12 million listeners in Orange County, the Inland Empire, and North San Diego County with financial news and talk radio. Get up-to-the-minute reports on the market, the best financial advice and opinions from Wall Street to Main Street. It's radio's most powerful information.
Financial news and talk on the Astor Broadcast Stations.
AM 1450, North San Diego. AM 1510, the Inland Empire and Orange County.
It's a celebration.
And now, more senior living at its best with Jan Fowler.
Welcome back to Senior Living at its best. I'm your host, Jan Fowler. We're talking with the lovely and energetic Cathy Bates, founder and owner of Practical Solutions, a declutter your life program in case you want to downsize or move. So, Cathy, you work with hoarders. I've always been curious as to why people stockpile and hoard. How do you approach working with someone who hoards, who's a chronic hoarder?
Well, I've been doing this for 11 years, and our approach is very different from what you see on TV, so don't be scared. We run a no-drama show, and we don't like to create problems, but solve them. Most of the time when we're working with clients, we work one-on-one with them so that they can work at their own pace and not feel pressured by people standing around waiting for them to make a decision so they can take it out to a garbage
Are they just
truck.
afraid they're going to lose control?
Yes. Those kind of programs where they're pressuring them to make really quick decisions and clear out their homes in a couple of days can be a little bit traumatizing for a hoarder, and they can actually go back into their hoarding pretty quickly after that.
Is that like a security, is that a behavior that helps calm themselves in some way?
Hoarding is an obsessive-compulsive behavior. And when we think of obsessive-compulsive behaviors, we think of very tidy, neat people, but that goes the extreme opposite way. People can be obsessive about purchasing things, obsessive about collecting things, even if it's trash. It can be really nice things, it can be trash.
Speaking of trash, before I forget, on your website you list places where that you can donate large furniture items or appliances to. Did I read that if you call Edison, they may pay you up to $50 for a refrigerator?
Yes, they will. And sometimes that's a lot better than donating and are trying to sell it.
So your website is P as in Paul, S as in Simplify, organizing.com. By the way, as long as you're an expert in such matters, should we advise our listeners to call the city hall wherever they happen to live, in order to find out where to dispose of hazardous waste, sharps, and electronic waste?
Yes, that's a really good idea. We're lucky to be in California where our cities do provide those kind of services, so we're not throwing them in the trash. Most cities have a place where you can drop off hazardous waste, which consists of like paints and oils and old cleaning products. Also, you can usually drop off e-waste there, which are old electronics.
Oh, yes.
Prescription medications, sharps, things like that. Also, some fire stations and police stations will take those items, the sharps and the prescription medications. And I don't know if you've noticed, but there are a lot of these e-waste recycling events popping up all over, and they're fundraisers for different charities. So you can always look around for those banners that tell you about those events coming up and drop off your e-waste and support one of the local charities.
Oh, good tip. Thank you. You've raised cleaning and decluttering to an art and reduced it to a science. There's that old joke that we have to clean up before the cleaning lady comes. What do people have to do before having Practical Solutions come in?
Absolutely nothing, but I can really relate to that kind of thinking. I always say if I had a cleaning lady, I would have to clean before she came. But I really like to see things just as they are, and I always encourage people not to touch anything. For if they remove all the problemed areas by, scooping them all in boxes and putting them in the garage, I'm going to have no idea that those were a struggle for them, and so I can't come up with solutions and organizing systems to help them manage that. For example, we all have that pile of paper and mail that comes in, and we throw it on our countertop or our desk or a table somewhere. Well, if you scoop that all up in a box and put it in the garage, I'm not going to know that paper's even an issue for you, and I've got some really great solutions for that.
My daughter has a rule. Every time she buys something new, she has to get rid of something, give it away that's in the same category. So if she's coming home with new shoes, then she decides which pair of shoes she's going to let go of.
That's a really, really good rule. I have that rule in my closet. I have so many hangers, and I'm not allowed to get new hangers.
Oh, my goodness.
And so if I am out and shopping, I have to think, what am I going to get rid of when I get home? And it really cuts back on the amount of things I bring into my home, because I know I have to get rid of something. And so you're a lot more careful about your purchases.
Now, when it comes to clothing, for example, I mean, I know that I can see now you've already helped me understand why I have some shoes for 20 years that I no longer wear. It's because they remind me of a very beautiful event that I may have gone to. They symbolize something that a memory that I cherish and that I treasure. But I never thought of limiting the number of hangers that I have in my closet.
Yeah, some people see that as a little extreme, but
Tell us how people's lives have been changed because of your help. For example, have there been any instances in which, say, somebody's sister died and this somebody lived out of state and needed help clearing out the deceased person's home because it was 4 states away?
definitely. Our goal is to change lives every day. And most of the time, our clients comment that would have never accomplished what they did without our help. And they wish they would have done it years before. But just yesterday, I was doing a consultation for a family who called me from Texas. And their mother had passed away, and they were busy with their own lives. And they had kind of come in town when she passed away and taken what they wanted, but they didn't know what to do with the rest of the house. So they're able to give it over to us. We can go through and weed out everything, get it donated, get things that need to be shredded to the shredder. Make sure if we run across any pictures or other personal items, we can get those to them. Sometimes we'll just take a picture of them and send them to them and say, hey, this is something we ran across, an old toy. Do you want it? And they may not, but they may.
So you're very sensitive to the value that people place on their possessions, even when they're being sentimental.
Definitely.
Give us a few more examples of how people have felt better about themselves or their environment after working with you.
Well, I think anyone that's struggling with organization is going to feel a whole lot better when they get organized. I mean, if it's a hoarder, that's probably the most life-changing, because maybe this person has just been closed in with their clutter for 20 years. We had one client that they actually did a story on in Riverside, and for about 20 years, she really didn't leave her home much. She was kind of, just bogged down by her clutter, and she didn't want to leave. And when we were able to help her let go of the clutter, it was the most therapeutic process. She realized so many things in her life. We just walked her through the psychological issues she was dealing with. She was able to let go of the clutter, live in an organized home, and, next thing we know it, she's out, doesn't even call us anymore. She's got her boyfriend, and she's engaged in all kinds of activities. She's moving on with her life. Yes, and it was just so nice to see her move on with her life.
I know that every time I have forced myself to have a garage sale because it was just time to have one, I have always felt so much lighter and so much more pleased with myself. Pride. I think I felt a sense of pride that I actually did it.
Right, and I bet you didn't miss anything you got rid of.
Didn't miss a thing, but I'll tell you something, that saying, the foot grows to fill the boot, really is true, because all those empty cabinets in the garage are now filled up again. It's just time to have another garage sale. Do you help people set up for yard sales?
We can. It's not the most cost-effective thing to do. Most of the time, a yard sale isn't going to bring you a whole lot. If the person wants to do that, we're glad to help them. But a lot of times, it's just more cost-effective for them to donate it.
To donate
and get
it
the tax
and to get
write-off.
the tax write-off. Oh, yes, yes. I understand that the Salvation Army will now send a truck out to your home to pick up donations.
Yes, Salvation Army is very good about picking up. You can go online or call their 800 number and schedule a donation pickup.
I have received several calls from their robot. They actually called me and announce that if I have any donations, give them a call and they'll come out and pick up furniture, used appliances, large items.
Right. And also, they're real good about cleaning out estates, as well as a couple of other charities in the area. And if you want just the entire house emptied out, they'll come and they'll do that.
Is that right?
They'll actually come inside the house and get it.
We're learning all sorts of good things from you. Nice tips. What about books? It's hard to get rid of books because they symbolize maybe a time in your life when you were at the university or had another career. I find it very, very hard to let go of a lot of my books. My bookcases are overflowing.
Books are a difficult thing. My husband's a professor, and so I know about books. He has quite a few. But most of the time we hold on to books that we're not actually going to ever refer to again. And so my question in going through books is always, are you going to refer to this or read it again? And some of the time you will, and those are the ones that you keep, but some of them you don't. And now with all the electronic devices like Kindles and Nooks, you can get those books in one little tiny machine, which does take up a lot less space than those bookshelves. And so when seniors are downsizing and moving, sometimes they choose to do that. They'll take their titles and just get them on an electronic device.
Yes, I'm so proud to see how many seniors are using Kindle and Nook. When I go to the gym, invariably there's somebody next to me on the treadmill with their Nook.
Right. When I first started this business, we didn't actually move many computers. And now I find I'm not only moving a lot of computers, but they also have their little tablet and their smartphone, and they're teaching me some things about technology.
I love it. Cathy, do you happen to have a favorite tip for good living which you'd like to pass on to others? We're almost out of time.
Well, I just like to go back to the theme of simplifying. I think that is the most important thing. You don't let your stuff get in the way of enjoying people and your life. And that stuff may be that you have too much of it. It also might be that you're spending too much time cleaning it. Mm-hmm. So it can also be the other extreme.
Mm-hmm. Is there any one thing in particular that you're especially proud of which most people may not necessarily know about you?
Well, I don't know. Let's see. I would say the thing that would shock people most is that my house is not perfect.
Oh, my goodness. You've made my day.
Yeah, and you know why I'm so proud of that?
Thank you. Thank you for having the courage to admit that.
Well, I'm proud of that because of the fact that when I first got married, my house was perfect. And I was a perfectionist, and I struggled with that. And when I started to have children, I saw that struggle and what it meant for the future. And I said, I don't want my house to be perfect and my family perfectly miserable. I want to have a home where people feel comfortable. And so, yes, is my house functional? Is it organized? Is it pretty clean? Yes, but it's not perfect.
You are so authentic. Oh, my. We've been talking with the delightful Cathy Bates, owner of Practical Solutions, an amazing company which will clean out your clutter for you. Cathy, give us your website one more time so we can learn more about your valuable service.
Okay, it's www.psorganizing.com.
Okay.
That's for Practical Solutions Organizing.
It's been a lot of fun and very educational talking with you. I'm going to rush right home now and start reorganizing my office. That's a good starting point for me. Thank you so much for being on the show.
Thank you for having me.
Well, that's it for today, folks. Please visit my website at janfowler.com and click on radio page to hear any archived radio interviews which you may have missed. And please cruise with me. Yes, I've been invited to lead a European river cruise next spring from Amsterdam to Belgium on Dutch and Belgian waterways, including the Rhine River. The cruise is named Tulip Time with Jan Fowler and Friends and is going to be fabulous fun. To learn more, just visit janfowler.com and click on the beautiful picture of the Ama Waterways cruise ship. I'm so excited. We're going to have a wonderful time, and I can hardly wait. Thanks for tuning in today. You've been listening to Senior Living at its Best. Now, have faith in your journey, whatever it is, and may all your dreams for your life come true. Bye for now.